All right, welcome to Genuine Connections, episode 3. My name is Luke Skywalker Cortez. With me, Jake, you want to introduce yourself?
I am Jacob Shamer, and with us today is someone I've known for a while from high school, Courtney Holmes. Courtney, when was the last time I saw you in person? I think it was over 12 years ago?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
quite a while.
Wow. I didn't think about that, but yeah,
I think it may have been at Emarina's house. Maybe.
maybe,
Who's
maybe.
Marina?
Somebody else that we know from high school.
Yeah, she's one of my close friends from high school also.
Yeah, I was thinking about that after I contacted you. I was like, man, it's been probably 13 or almost 14 years maybe.
Yeah, do you know if that was before or after K-Tub?
Oh, that's right. You came.
I did. I was your
That's
biggest
right.
fan.
So, Luke, in Kirkland, there's
Yeah, that,
this
that little club for.
yeah, and I did a DJ gig there, and Courtney and Marina and who else showed up? I think Taylor,
We had our friend Brittany with us.
Brittany. I
Yes.
remember Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
Where's she at now? Do you have contact with her? How's she doing?
I don't. For
Hmm.
a little while I did, and I don't know where she's at now.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a while.
Who's
So,
Brittany? Just your mutual.
Yeah,
well,
she kind of she was a friend of Amarina and I's. Yeah, mutual friend.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What were you guys doing at K-Tub? Jake, you were playing a DJ set?
Yep. Yep. I think I
Nice.
I think I remember I packed all you guys into my Ford Explorer and we all drove down there.
I believe so, yeah. And yeah, I mean, we're all close friends
Hmm.
and we wanted to support and so we went. It was really that simple, but it was awesome.
And
We
it
had a lot of fun.
it ended up being just them dancing on the dance floor like nobody else showed up for it.
It was
But they went
literally we
wild.
literally
They
had the
got
whole
they got
dance
down
floor.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when you have the whole dance floor to yourself, you gotta get down, you know?
Wow, I completely forgot about that. That's so long ago. Holy shit.
I can't remember if I had seen you after that or not, but I
Uh
maybe.
I want to say maybe once or twice, but I after I got out of high school, if I don't know if you knew, I went into the Marine Corps.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, I joined the Marines and then went in. I was in there for about 2 years, and then I got out, and then I fell into drugs really bad.
Oh,
Yeah, lots of meth for about 8 years, and now I'm sober. So
that's awesome.
yeah, so I want to catch Luke up on what you were telling me about. She was we were talking about her coming on the podcast, and she said to me something I think it was I want to make sure that I'm okay to come on because I don't know what my diagnosis is. And I was like, dude, that's even better.
Yeah, I
like
really
like
don't.
having some health condition where she doesn't know what's going on, and
Hmm.
I was like, you don't need to be at a certain point in your life to be qualified to come on this podcast. It's more about meeting people where they are in life right at that moment and just making
You
that
mean
genuine connection.
you mean that you have a physical or what's going on?
No, we're so okay. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically I never really had any inkling that anything was really wrong with me. That and I started like fainting. And it was
Hmm.
really crazy. I didn't really know anything figuring out what's going on and everything. But my care basically got halted because of COVID and everything. So and get any testing done right now.
Yeah,
Um, so I
Yeah.
don't know what's wrong. Yeah, but I did stop fainting. That's good.
that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
That's a positive note for sure.
right. I'm not like actively fainting all the time. It happened. It was really a couple of times that it happened. It was a cause for concern, and so we started the kind of the care process and kind of how that got kicked off was kind of interesting.
So you lost your insurance because you don't have a job anymore?
Yeah, I'm furlough, but I
Hmm.
think for some reason I know some companies are keeping people's health insurance and some companies aren't. Mine, I mean, I got the Cobra letter and everything, and able to keep it going for like $800 a month or whatever it would have been,
Yikes.
just like this crazy amount. Yeah,
I
and I'm
wonder if you could qualify for Apple Health, like state insurance, for in the midterm or in the interim.
sure. Yeah, yes, I probably could. I've kind of gotten things under wraps where I'm not having really like life-threatening symptoms right now, and so I felt that it was kind of better to wait it out just until I can get some testing done.
So are you saying that your
Hmm.
symptoms at one point were life threatening?
I don't I don't think so.
Hmm.
But I mean, when you're fainting, it could definitely be. Um, you never know where it's coming from and stuff like that. So anyway,
Yeah, it's not good either way. I mean, the only experience I had with fainting was when was like I was working out a lot and I was like an amateur bodybuilder, so I was trying to get.
Sorry, I just pictured him flexing in the mirror super hard and then passing
Yeah.
out because he was flexing.
Yeah, but I mean, when you start doing that, you get like body dysmorphia where you think you look different than everybody else. And anyways,
Mm.
I was dieting really, really hard and I wasn't eating a lot. And that was the only time that I've actually fainted, was from my blood sugar. So
yeah, I think had happened was low blood sugar. But anyway, and Jacob's known me for as long as he has. I'm kind of like the super tiniest person ever.
Very, very small, like fit in the palm of your hand kind of small person.
yeah,
Yeah. And so I really even at the time I was working at a chiropractor at the time, and she would like adjust my spine and stuff like that on the house. And I had mentioned it to her. They did not provide health insurance there. um it to her, kind of like, hey, this is kind of weird, what do you think, doc? And she said, she works on my spine, and if you know anything about spine, every part of your body. And she says the part that I have to work on very frequently with you, stomach. So I'm wondering if there's something going on with your stomach. And she got me a referral to a different doctor, and I ended up getting health insurance and things like that. And they really think that it's a nutrient malabsorption. It's
yeah.
undiagnosed.
So like
Well,
your body doesn't know how to break down foods correctly?
I mean, yes, I guess. Like I said, it's undiagnosed, but that's kind of suspected. They know it's some type, whether it's breaking down the foods or just absorbing it.
Right.
People can pass foods, without breaking them down and stuff like that. I don't really know if that's what's going on, but yeah.
Yeah,
it
that sounds
definitely
crazy.
it definitely could be because I mean, like looking into my own body and stuff, when I eat like carbohydrates, they get broken down and absorbed pretty easily.
Mine
Uh,
don't.
yeah, well, I mean, so if it kind of goes back to your diet, like what type of foods are you eating on a daily basis? Like a bunch of fast food or a bunch of vegetables and meat or
If I had to guess what her diet was based off of how I know her personality is,
Doritos?
no, I'd actually say she does quite well with a healthy diet. I'd say that she
I
tries really hard. Just this is just me based off of, and this is fucking like a 13-year gap. So I'm just guessing that probably eats a lot of salads. Am I on point with that?
honestly, I know, going into all of this, I have done so many different um like medically, um what do you call it, like where they kind of intervene on your diet and things like that. So
Oh, okay.
I know a lot about diet, and I take it very seriously. So yeah, I do eat salads, but it's not like I eat a lot of salads. It's not like it's coming from this oh
Right. It's
gosh,
all laid out for you, kind of
oh
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. In the morning I eat this, in the afternoon, and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm kind of getting the nutrient intake to a point where I don't feel like I haven't been feeling as faint and things as lightheaded, head rushy. But I do still have other symptoms that, I mean, they're not fun, but they're not as scary.
And
Yeah.
what are some of those other symptoms? Are you okay with telling us
Yeah,
that?
like so just kind of and anyone who's listening who has issues of this nature, they'll totally relate, but headaches, earaches, muscle cramps, head to feet in nerves, um just kind of like it's musculoskeletal, it's in your head, it's in your ears. Like the nasal stuff, it's there. um a postnasal drip. I mean, there's really all sorts.
Is that where is postnasal drip? That's like where you get that extra like sore throat because of the amount of mucus going down from your nasal cavity.
So there's like a little bit of a delay. So your mucus is the way I understand it, I should say. Your mucus is a little thicker and it's not draining properly. So it kind of um, it's not, it's not as fluid as it normally would be.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And I know that for some people that does cause a sore throat. For me, it doesn't, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah. I don't really, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, and all I know is bro science. But
Gross.
Bro science.
yeah, I know for me that I would probably go see a doctor about it. I would look online.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know. I'm not experiencing what you're experiencing. I just know from my own personal experience. I would say if I didn't know you and I just was reading about this, I would ask, probably maybe make a list of the things that you eat throughout the day and talk with
Yeah.
a nutritionist or look online about that, and also look into some Eastern medicine. That's worked really well for me. Looking at acupuncture and herbal medicine.
Oof.
Yeah,
I tried acupuncture one time and it freaked me the hell out.
I love it.
I
I'll
can't
be
do it.
honest. I'll be honest with you. I see a bit of doctors. Like I said, my care's only been basically halted because of COVID and everything. But I see like 4 or 5 different doctors for this.
Oof.
Uh, 2 different naturopaths, my chiropractor. I see my family medicine doctor, and I have a GI doctor now. And soon enough, I will have an allergist. So
Cool.
we got quite the team.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
crazy.
yeah, and like I said, all of my meals and everything, they're accounted for, and I know what I'm supposed to be eating and when, and how long those periods are to be, and how to not fast, and those types of things. So yeah.
I sort of feel you there because another thing you might not know since I last saw you, I've also developed type 1 diabetes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm used to the whole trying to plan out every part of your day to make sure that blood sugar is constantly in check.
Yes.
I just recently got a device. Oh, it's on the other arm.
Oh, wow.
And it's got a little metal filament that sits inside of my arm, and then it sends the blood sugar, my blood sugar, to this little meter here every 5 minutes, and it tells me
Yeah.
what
Oh,
my blood sugar is. So I know what it's like to have like a team of people around you trying to help you figure out like how can we better get this in check, how can we identify what's happening. I see an endocrinologist, a diabetes educator, and a family medicine or like a
yeah,
primary care physician.
General
exactly.
practitioner.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean when I say family medicine as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like you can get, sometimes I'll get like one of them will say, you need to do this. And then the other one will say, well, no, I think you should do this. Right. Cause they
Mm,
don't all talk to each other.
Yeah.
right.
I think that um, my primary care physician and my endo talk to each other. But my diabetes educator is just there in case I need someone for emergencies. And she actually got me started on it and did it for free. She was one of those people that my sister had met her and started seeing her because my sister's type 1 diabetic as well. And like after working with my sister for so long, she was just like, no, just come see me. And this was when I was really still stuck on the meth. She's like, just come see me. I don't care. Just come and talk to me so we can try and get your blood sugars under control. Um, and like ever since then, she's just had my back, you know. So eventually you find, or maybe not always, but you'll find someone that's just out there for the good of the person that they're trying to treat.
Yeah.
And not really in it for the money, even though they do charge because they have to make a living as well. But
Sure.
it's really refreshing to meet one of those people and have them just say, look, your first couple of appointments, I don't care. Just, I'll see you on under the books, under the table. Doesn't matter. Just come and see me and we'll try and get your health in check. So
Yeah, I'm so thankful for the chiropractor that I worked for. She kind of was the one that kind of pushed me into this direction. I had no idea anything stomach related. After I started, and I was like, what are you talking about, stomach? I don't have any allergies. I don't have anything going on with me. I've never, you know, gained weight. It's awesome. Um, and literally could eat anything I want and not gain weight. And
yeah,
so it's a part of like the nutrient malabsorption. I'm not getting anything from the food.
right.
So when I to see it was first a naturopath is who it was first. She kind of explained it to me that your body is on a tolerance, and with you speaking about drugs and everything, you probably have some understanding of this. You know, you're drinking every single day, you need a lot more to get you drunk. You drink one beer and you're not going to have any symptoms from the beer,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So so basically my body was just kind of on overhaul. We tried the elimination diet, which is like um and you know, allocating for everything, like in the morning having healthy fat and the carbohydrate in the morning, and dinner time, and I can mess around with lunch a little bit more, but dinner time with the whole wheat and the
Yeah.
complex carb and a protein is mapped out every single meal. And then when I did reintroduce some of the stuff, then it's like, whoa, and all these crazy things started happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I do. Like there was this guy, I used to watch his YouTube videos, and he's like he's a professional bodybuilder, Jake. So you can laugh if you want to, but
Oh, it's all good, man.
the guy was like, he made a really good point, and other where he was having a lot of issues with his gut. He was feeling like lethargic, tired,
Yeah.
bloated, all sorts of stuff. And he basically went back straight up chicken and rice, because that he knew for sure that that didn't mess up his stomach, and he felt okay on it. And then from there, he basically on his calendar, like he said, he got real sick of it real quick after like a week.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
But what had to get he had to get back to a baseline and be like,
Yep.
okay, this is where I'm okay. And then he would add in things like, okay, tonight I'm going to eat a steak for dinner. And then he's like, okay, I feel good. And then one night he eats like fish and adds that on.
Then
I
it
feel good.
probably goes to the good side. Those are the things that I can't eat that doesn't affect me. And then as he adds yeah, I see where you're going. Yeah,
And
that's a brilliant plan.
that's
Yeah.
exactly the elimination diet in a nutshell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and sometimes, like it's funny if we in my class right apology, and you can see the different regions where people, if you are more like Eastern European or Germanic tribes or African or wherever your family comes from, that actually makes a big deal. Today, we're all kind of in this like melting pot where we're all
Right.
eating, McDonald's and, pizza. But for thousands of
Right.
years, our ancestors, maybe they just ate like nuts and berries.
You
And
know,
Isn't there a paleo diet? Isn't that what the paleo diet is? Is like you can only eat the things that like you could have found, like, you can't, because we came up with bread, like we figured out how to make bread, right? Like,
Sure.
isn't that
Yeah,
what that is?
basically, like if it comes from the earth, there's a
If
saying,
it's
it's like,
naturally occurring, right?
yeah, if it comes from a plant, eat it. So basically, meat,
Right.
fish, vegetables, whole,
Berries.
whole grains. But if it's made in a plant, like in a factory,
Yeah.
then don't eat it. If it comes in a package,
Don't
like
eat it. Yeah.
processed sugar, Doritos, donuts, like
I
Cheetos.
do, I do want to interject, only because how sensitive these issues are, and some of the advice that people might be hearing on this podcast, is that of course always see a doctor when
Yeah.
deciding what to do with your diet. But another really big thing is, if you're having gut issues, always, I would say, look up the elimination diet, because it's not necessarily just eating chicken and rice. I mean, there's a lot that you can eat outside of chicken and rice. Of course, it worked for, there's a lot of veggies that are important for your diet, that have vitamins cooking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. We want to make sure that nobody takes it into their own hands to
Right.
try to make changes to their diet if they're having issues with their, with their body. Definitely go and see a doctor, um, and have that conversation, because we are definitely not as informed as we think we are.
But going on to, and I'm so sorry, I forgot his name. I haven't known him for 12, 14 years.
Oh,
Oh,
Luke.
Luke.
Luke, you were saying how, depending kind of on the region, like where you're from, where your family's from, and everything. That's so very true. Honestly, some of us within our genes, we're able to process things differently than other people are,
Hmm.
and so I do know that some people can process, like dairy milk, for instance, and other people don't have that gene within inside of them to process that, and that's not
Yeah.
just milk. It's all sorts of different foods. You're absolutely right. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's like me with I don't drink any dairy, um, and I don't eat a lot of breads. But it's weird because I like those. Like those are foods that like I want to eat. So
Right.
sometimes like the advice of like just follow your not follow your heart, but follow your or listen to your body is what they say.
Mm.
Well, my
Yeah.
body, I want to eat like a bunch of fried foods and ice cream, and but that's not what's good for me, and I only know that from, it's like a science experiment, like you have to, if you're changing all these variables at once, it's so hard to know like why am I fainting? Why am I tired? Why am I angry? And that's why, yeah, it seems a little extreme with the chicken and rice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It might work for some people, but it might not. It might work for everyone, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
I know that. So I was diagnosed with diabetes in January of 2017. And basically I didn't get a hold of it. Like, I didn't really get good control over my blood sugar up until maybe a year ago. Um, Mostly because I just didn't care. I was too worried about getting loaded. Um, and so once I finally got control of it and I started realizing what certain foods did to my blood sugar, like milk, for instance, like when we were living at Emmanuel, Luke, I drank milk every now and then because it was there and it was something to drink. But recently, my eating habits have trained me out of wanting to eat like crap, because I
yeah,
know it's going to make me feel like crap,
yeah,
right? Or because I know that even if I wanted to eat that whole bag of candy orange slices, I'd have to dump 20 units of insulin into my body just to keep it from going up to 600,
yeah,
right? So I think that, I mean, I don't even eat ice cream anymore at all, ever. Just because,
I don't either.
yeah, just because I know that the way that it, by the time it gets absorbed into my body, it's going to be treated like a liquid with lots of sugar, right? And
yeah,
liquids absorb into your system a lot faster than something that your stomach has to take time breaking down. So that's going to spike my blood sugar way fast, and I don't want that. I would rather stay, and keep all my fingers and toes and not be blind for the rest of my life, and Um, so what I'm saying is I've sort of trained myself out of making good decisions about eating, and I still make weird decisions. Like I eat 100 carbs worth of bagels in the morning because it's simple and easy. Here's a little secret: I don't even toast my bagels. I just eat them with cream cheese on them. But I could definitely make some better adjustments. But at the same time, I've made leaps and bounds in terms of progress from where I used to be. Like I used to just chug strawberry milk because it tasted good, and I didn't care what it did to my blood sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like, oh, sorry. I
Oh,
think it's
go
like
ahead.
Courtney said, where, she could eat anything and just like not gain any weight. I think part of it is like just getting older, like having the ability, like when you move out of your parents' house or whatnot, go to college, and nobody can tell you you can't eat pizza for breakfast, lunch,
Right.
and dinner.
Or have a giant cheesecake for dinner.
Yeah, but I think I kind of grew out of that to where it's like, yeah, nobody's watching me. I could eat this whole tub of ice cream if I wanted to,
Try and tell me you
but
won't feel guilty afterwards, though.
yeah, I will feel guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably throw up too. Yeah,
It's all good, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Courtney, what are you? Jake said that you currently aren't working, right? So did they let you go because of this coronavirus thing?
Yeah, so I'm furloughed right now, which just means that temporary laid off until I still have a job. When this all ends, I go back to my job and do that. So
What were you
that's
doing for work?
so I'm a debt collector.
Oh no!
Ooh,
Oh no! I gotta go!
God.
I gotta go, guys. They
If
found
I
me.
ever, if you ever call me.
So so no, I would never call you. That we're not allowed to talk to anyone that we might personally know, first of all.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
It gets handed off. Um, like if I even see your name before I even open up the file, I mean, like there's some serious security stuff. We have some incredible laws that we have to follow in debt collection, and I know some companies are a little different. There's a few different types of debt collection. We don't do credit card debt collection, and we're not debt buyers.
mhm.
Yeah.
Um, that means we don't own the debt that we collect on. It still belongs to the company. And we do debt collection for medical debts and for the state.
Okay. Can
Hmm.
Um,
you give us an insight into like so I currently have probably $11,000 in debt in court fines and
sure.
tickets.
We wouldn't see the court fines. We might see if they're traffic tickets. We might see those in my
Most of
office.
them are either like conviction fees or like driving without a license tickets, something like that.
Hmm.
To be honest, I got really
Literally just saw.
upset.
Did you hear the siren just as that happened?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know.
Oh,
Um,
great timing.
I got really upset because just like 2 weeks ago, I got 3 or 4 different phone calls on 3 or 4 different days from the company that is trying to collect on me. And I'm like, dude, we're in the middle of a fucking
Right.
pandemic. And you
Right.
want to call me and collect on me when I
No.
have $0 to give you.
No,
Hey,
more than likely, your name is coming up in an automated system,
Uh-huh.
and they're calling you because they're getting paid hourly to do so.
yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
So how does this all work? Like, I mean, like, do, will they find out if I have a job, or how does can you break this down for us so that people that might watch this might get a better idea of what it's like to
sure.
be a debt collector?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I can avoid you better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So I'm trying to stay within laws here.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so essentially, keep the conversation open and you're protecting yourself. You picking up the phone is the best thing you can do. Even if it's to say, I don't have it right now, man. And you don't have to do it every time, mind you. God,
Mm-hmm.
with how often they call. And like I said, your name is probably coming up in an automated system. It rotates through. And legally, the laws are stated that we're allowed to call within 3 times in a 5-day period. So that might be the amount of times that your name automatically comes up in the system. Now, if it is more than that, do not think that they are automatically outside of the law. You guys are calling me multiple times. What it might be is that you might have two different files in their system that aren't conjoined.
Oh, okay.
So some of the time it might just be to get them on the phone long enough to say, hey, you guys are calling me all the time. Can you guys put my file together? Just because it might make the calls go down a little bit more.
Right.
If you're working with one particular person, let's say John calls you up, right? You can say, hey, John, I really don't have any money, but in about 2 weeks, I'm going to have about $25 on me. Tell him that, because John will cease all calls for 2 weeks, and it might really help with kind of the headache. Now, as far as can they see if you're employed, if you're not employed, stuff like that, most of the time they won't look. If you now, let's say you have, oh, can you still see me and hear me? Sorry,
Yeah.
I had a pop up on my phone. Okay. Let's say you had, umpteen $1,000 of debt, and you're giving us the runaround. And I mean, mind you, it's my job to kind of hear and sense that you're lying when you're lying. So I mean, I have these big head honcho guys. They have that sound in their voice, like they make money. Like they're just too busy for this. Okay,
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
Mercedes, and it's parked on Fifth Avenue in Seattle, and they get a parking ticket every single week, meaning that this guy just does not care about getting a ticket. He gets the ticket, he puts it on the dash, and he keeps on driving. I'm going to guess that that guy has a job, okay? We can put things together pretty easily as far as that goes. But as far as them doing things like garnishing wages and stuff like that, I wouldn't be too worried about it unless you're not picking up the phone. If you're keeping the conversation open, if you're telling them, hey, I'll pay you such and such amount on such and such date, you are probably not going to be garnished as easily as someone who is just ignoring the calls all the time. And we're like, hey, buddy, we know that you're just not trying to deal with us. But yeah, legally, they are allowed to garnish wages for those who are actually avoiding debts.
So the last time they called me and I actually answered the phone and had a conversation with them was probably over a year ago. And I think that they told me that it was $11,000 or something like that, and it would take me $100 a month for like 9 years
Damn.
to pay it off. And at that time, I did not have that money. I just didn't. And they said
Sure.
they wouldn't garnish my wages as long as I paid that minimum $100 a month nonstop. Now,
Did they garnish any wages from you?
No, and I'm barely making any money as it is.
Yeah.
Most of the money that I have in my account is what's left over after my tuition is paid for that financial aid is taken care of, right? And the other bit is from work study as a tutor, right? Which is I think it's technically a federal job because I work for a federal educational institution, right?
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't even pay taxes on my wages. My
Sure.
wages, well, I mean,
You don't pay taxes?
there's a deduction for like Medicare, and
Yeah.
like the most that I've ever had taken out of my paycheck was like $3.
No, I'll be honest with you. Garnishing wages is above my pay grade.
Mhm.
Not something that I deal with in my office. But I hear about it, and I know that it can happen. But generally, the people that are being honest with us, it's less likely things. And I honestly, truthfully wouldn't worry too much about that. Eh, I would just try to pay what you $25, even once every few months, fine.
Yeah, I had my wages garnished one time, and it actually helped me because at the time, like, I wasn't able to budget my money. I was like 21 or 22, and they garnished my wages for my student loan, and it was weird because when they took out the money, I didn't think they were able to take it for student loans. But I guess it was like some third party that was taking it. But either way, I had like $8,000 outstanding on this student loan. And by the time they were done and I was able to pay the rest, they had taken like $6,000. But at the time, I never would have, like Jake said, the $100 a month for 300 years or whatever it was. Like I would never commit to that. So I'm kind of glad that they did it. But I have this one debt collector that used to call me, and he wouldn't tell me who he was, and he would just ask me. He'd say, "Hey, is this Lucas Cortez?" And I'd say, "Yeah, who's this?" He's like, "Can you tell me your address? Can you verify your address?" Like before we'd even start the conversation, and I'd say no. He's like, "Well, I can't." I said, "Why are you calling? Who is this?" He's like, "I can't tell you who it is,
Yeah.
unless I make sure that you're Lucas." I was like, "I'm Lucas." He's like, "Okay, what's your phone number, or what's your can you
They
verify
do
your
have to
address?"
verify you. They do. Second I get you on the
Yeah,
phone, I have to verify. I have to do, it's called a verifying piece of evidence. I have to be able to make sure that, honestly, anyone can answer the phone and say, "Hi, yeah, this is Lucas."
yeah,
Any person can. And the person, with phone numbers and cell providers changing all the time, any person can say, "Yeah, that's me." Especially, and it comes to personal information and stuff. Sometimes parents try to get information on their kids. Sometimes kids try to get information on their parents. Sometimes it's a relative, somebody that's trying to be nosy, an ex-girlfriend, maybe a boyfriend. We don't know your love life, so we don't know who's answering. So we have to be able to verify something, and generally it's going to be address, date of birth, or social. No one wants to give us your social. I don't even ask for it.
no,
I would never say, hey, is this Lucas? What's your social? You're just gonna hang up the phone.
Yeah.
you
yeah,
know? But that is one of the ways that we can verify your evidence is the last four of your social, date of birth, or address. Yeah. So I would have to call you and ask for that, some one of those, in order to move forward and tell you the reason of the call.
yeah,
So
And that comes before, this is an attempt to collect a debt. Any information obtained will be used, exactly. It's
yeah.
before all of that happens.
so if
But
I
I
was to
don't.
call them back, right?
Sure.
What do you think is the lenient or the wiggle room that I could work out? Like, let's say I tried to climb the ladder, right? And say, "Let me talk to your supervisor." Let's say I get the supervisor on the phone and I say, "Look, I only have a small amount of income. I don't want you to garnish my wages, but here's what I'm able to do, even though I know it's below your minimum."
Sure. Yeah.
What's the wiggle room there?
Um, I wouldn't even ask for a supervisor. I would
Mhm.
talk to that bottom barrel guy, who answers the phone, and basically they're under the type of restriction where you offer money, they have to take it. They cannot deny your money, essentially.
Yeah.
They're not able to say, "Oh, it's not good enough."
Hmm.
They have to be able to take your $10, or sometimes there's a minimum for like processing reasons, like as far as like the computer system or what have you,
Hmm.
that they're using. But a lot of the time that's $25.
So
Yeah.
so anything over $25 is acceptable?
Right.
Or are you saying there's a flat fee of $25 for them to process whatever other money you deposit? So
No, 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 no.
if I wanted
No,
to deposit
no.
50,
The 25 would be inclusive, and that would be probably just like the minimum that they could intake,
okay.
in their system. However, now, and this is the case for our company, is that some companies, have a processing fee if you do it over the phone. So if they say, "Yeah, but for paying it over the phone, there's a $5 fee, but if you pay $50, and it's a, let's say 2% fee, 3% fee, 5% fee."
Why is there a fee for filing over the phone? It's when it takes just as much amount of time as it does to do it over the internet.
That's exactly what I would say. Is there a way I can avoid the fee?
Because that seems really
Yeah.
silly and just like a scam. to me. Like, it just seems like they're trying to make their own profit off the top of my money.
Of course they are.
Yeah, it's a business.
Of course they
Sure.
are.
Sure.
But then that's where I would ask, can I pay this online?
Mhm.
Can I avoid the fee by paying it online? If I pay you this $25 today, can I avoid the fee over the
Mhm.
phone? If they say no, can I do it online without a fee? Whatever it will take. If I mail you the money, there'll be a fee. Whatever it'll take.
Yeah, can I pay you in Trident gum?
No, got to be some currency, yeah. But yeah.
So my best bet is to probably call them and say, "Hey, I can't do $100 a month." Now I really don't want to give them any information that I don't have to.
Sure.
Um,
I would do some of your own research. So, do you know specifically what the debts are for?
yeah, like I said, it's like the traffic tickets for like driving without a license. There was times when I went to jail, and they like there's like conviction fees for when you put in a guilty plea, you have to pay the court a fee, stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of court things, a lot of court stuff honestly doesn't go away. Like
Yeah.
medical bills, there's no statute on some of that stuff. Um, if it was medical, there might be a statute of limitations. I would go ahead and read the laws surrounding any of the debts that you have to see if there's any statutes, to see if any of that has fallen off. Um, but you can always ask them too, is there any statute of limitations? If you ask them a question without giving them any information, they are required to answer it.
So the other thing is like I always get really nervous when I go to talk to these people, because I don't feel like they're human. I feel like they're ruthless and greedy, and even though I accept that I owe that debt, right? Like
Yeah,
it's just a daunting amount of money
sure.
to think about trying to attempt to pay off that I built up in about a 3-year period. You know, uh,
Yeah.
what kind of a I know this is a weird question, but is there a way to break through to that individual on the other end of the phone and just be like, "Hey, I'm human. Let's just talk like humans. I know you're doing
Yeah.
your job, but at the same time, can we come to a?" Because like every time I talk to them, they're like, "Sir, sir, I have to blah blah," blah, and they sound like robots, and it's just
And a big part of that, I will be honest, a huge part of that, and I'm definitely guilty of it as well. But there are a lot of laws as far as how we are allowed to speak. For instance, if somebody, anyway, um, I'm not allowed to be patronizing. I'm not
Mhm.
allowed to be condescending, things like that. Of course, if my boss heard any of this, she'd be so upset because, to be honest, people try to pull stuff all the time, and they'll be like, "You're being patronizing, you're being condescending," just for the hell of it, uh, you know, and try to take us to court and stuff for things like that, which is just very rude because it doesn't actually, it's not the company that pays my court fees, it's me that pays my court fees. But anyway, um, but we have to speak in a certain manner where we cannot come across as derogatory or patronizing or condescending. So it's a lot of this, sir, madam, things like that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I would ask them what your options are, just this money's even going to come from. And I am having to strategize that's with many of my people constantly and talk to them. And in fact, when this whole conversation is over, I'd be happy to talk to you about some of the things that the creative solutions that I come up with for people and stuff. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just like there's this stigma. You know what I mean? It's
Stigma.
like when I think about what it looks like to work at a debt collecting office, I think about like it's just a row of like cubicles in a bullpen kind of thing, and every single person is seated right next to each other on the inside of like a
It's a boiler room.
yeah, it's just like a boiler room, like just cubicle, 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 and people are just on the phone 24/7 calling people. You know what I mean? And and if they don't get what they want from that person on the other end of the phone, they hang up on them, and it's just, I don't know. There's this big stigma of society about debt collectors and how evil they are, and I want to be able to take care of my responsibilities as a person and pay off my debts very quickly so that I can move on with my life. Um,
Yeah. Right. I'm not evil.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
Evil would show up to dance for me while I'm DJing back in the day. You know.
Yeah. And that's a big thing is that really we're people too, and we get shit on constantly. Excuse my
I'm pretty sure you probably do. Yeah.
uh,
Well, it's the
yeah.
same for me because I used to be a car salesman and I loved it.
Yeah.
It was fun. And there's always that stigma, but once you start talking to somebody for a while, you realize like, oh, it's just another person, you
I
know.
don't know, man. I went to go interview for a job at this place in Linwood, um, and they did like this thing where I went in and I talked to one guy, and he's like, "Oh man, this sounds great. You seem like a great candidate for this." And then like 2 seconds later, he gets up and goes out, and then some other guy comes in and sits down and is like, "Man, listen, this place is dog eat dog, bro. I don't know if you're gonna make it." And they were literally testing me in my interview, and I was like, "Bro,
What, a car
why would I want?"
dealership?
Yeah, I was like, "Why would
Some
I
of
want to
them,
work here with you when you're acting like this in the freaking interview, man? Get out of
some of
here."
them are like that, man. That's the thing with car
Yeah.
dealerships, though. It's like some places are like really old school, like weird, like that, where it's like a boiler room, and they're like, yeah, like people with the gold tooth and like
Uh,
smoking cigarettes and like, but some of
Yeah,
them are actually really good where they're like, okay, we're not doing any of that shit. Like, we're just going to sell good cars. We're going to be nice to our customers. We're not ripping people off. And that's the kind that I worked at. So it was a lot of fun because it's refreshing. You go to buy a car and then you actually have a good experience. You get the car you want. It's probably the same with like collecting debts. Whenever I've
Yeah.
had somebody call me, if they're just like positive, whether I'm like, yeah, like let's get this taken care of, or hey, I don't have any money right now, like they're just a person doing their job. I did have one guy actually a few years ago. He called me and he was the guy who was like, "Can you tell me your address?" And I was like, "What's your address?" He's like, "I'm not telling." He's like, "I'm not telling you my address." So I was like, "Why would I tell you mine?"
That's
You know?
weird. They should be able to tell you their address, so that is a little off. I
but
mean, I
shouldn't
some
he?
address and I'd be like, it's right here. Because I
Shouldn't
mean,
he be able to at least identify, like, so that it's like, because if there's somebody called me and immediately asked me what my address was without confirming who they were, I wouldn't want to give it to them.
sure. So honestly, you are allowed to ask, what company do you work for? The problem is that is not usually the question that is asked. Usually, when the question that is asked is, what is this for? And
Right.
unfortunately, I cannot answer that yet.
So
Yeah.
if I was to say, what company do you work for? They can say what that is.
Yeah.
They can. Yes, they can.
They
They
should.
should. They should have to. This is the company that I work for. At that point, go on your phone, whatever is in your computer, look up this company. Are they a valid company? Um, so see, and you can even see what they do that way. Uh, so I've had people look up my company and they go, "Oh, you're a debt collector." And if they say, "Are you a debt collector?" That is a yes or no question. I cannot lie in answering that. I would have to
Hmm.
say yes.
Yeah. What are you gonna lie to them? I mean, what's the point of even lying to them?
Nobody asks that. Nobody answers the phone and hey, is Joe Schmo here? And they go, "Are you a debt collector?" That is just so not somebody's first response.
Yeah.
Usually people go, "What is this for?" Calling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And then unless you verify who they are.
Now, if you said, "Is this a debt collector?" I am a debt collector, sir. Yes, sir, I am.
Yeah. What are you gonna like
Oof.
trick them? Be like, no, this and
No,
like
it's me, Bugs Bunny.
You wouldn't even attempt it. You wouldn't even attempt tricking them. But I
it'd
will
be
say one
funny
thing.
though.
I will say one thing, and I'm talking about a debt collection company that does not buy debts and things of that nature. However, there are companies that do buy debts, and they buy them for pennies on the dollar. And I'm sure you've heard that phrase. People buy debts for penny on the dollar. I have people calling me and, "I know you buy debts for penny on the dollar." And like, no, sir, we. So there's a few different types of debt collection, and the ones that do buy debts are usually like the credit card debt.
Well,
And then,
what's like the craziest on the phone?
ooh, mm,
Like, what if some people said to you,
This is a great way to end the podcast because we're down to 10 minutes. This is you got to give us a juicy one,
I mean,
oh,
like death
a good one.
threats
Come
or
on.
like
No, I haven't had any death threats.
No.
Oh.
Here we go. She got one.
No, this guy, he really got like half of us on the floor, honestly. And we're a fairly small company. I mean, we're not a lot of people, I'll be honest.
Okay.
It's not like a handful, but it's anyway, so the guy calls in. I'm pretty sure I'm the first one who's talked to him, and I'll be honest, I'm trying to get him to verify. You know, when you finally get that person on a slow day and you haven't had a single answer all day long, you're honestly happy to talk to someone.
And how many numbers do you think you call a day? Just so we have context for that.
250.
Jeez. Wow.
At the dealership. Yeah. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah. So anyway, I call him, he answers, and I'm like, holy cow. And I'm, hi, this is Courtney, and ask him to verify. He's refusing to verify. And honestly, it's all the time. And sometimes they refuse in very funny ways. But this guy, he refuses to verify. And I said, listen, sir, and I'm a very heart-to-heart kind of person. I go, listen, sir, I'm really trying to help you out here. I have a private matter to go over with you, but I can't do that until you verify that I have the right person on the phone. I'm just honest, frank with him. And he just goes off, and he's like, saying, you're trying to get me to verify, or you're trying to get me to tell you my private information. You're just fishing and stuff like that. This is all very common. This really come up yet.
This sounds like me.
Yeah, this happened with you. Except for we go round and round in circles for probably a good 15 minutes. The same rhetoric over and over and over and over again.
Would have just hung up on you by then.
But you haven't even talked to a single soul in like 4 hours. You're like, at this point, I'm just humoring that. So anyway, and honestly, I got a goal to meet at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Paycheck. So finally I go, sir, I really need to end this call. If we, I have other calls that I need to make. At this point you're kind of wasting, and yet we get whatever. So you know what he does is he verifies. Thank goodness. He verifies, tell him, the purpose of the call, why I'm calling, the fact of the matter is that this is an attempt to collect the debt, and so on and so forth. And he just remembers that one little speak where I said, I'm trying to help you, sir. And he keeps reminding me of that. He goes, you said you were going to help me, and how are you helping when you're calling me to collect a debt? You're not helping. And I said, sir, in my opinion, the way I look at it is that it is helpful for you to know that this debt exists. Because if you don't know that debt exists, what's happening is it's accruing interest, and it's really only getting worse. And I said, so it is helping you. But if you can't afford it, if such and such, I'm still willing to help you further and trying to find a solution that works for you. And he says, what possible solution could you think of, yada, yada. And I give him, our normal that we might offer someone. And he, well, none of those work for me. So you weren't able to help me. And you promised me you were going to help me. And it's just, so anyway, and now we're in this new rhetoric for another 20 so minutes. I'm like on with this guy for like 45, 50 minutes. It's a long time. And we've really only gotten like a few things in. And I said, sir, at this point, we're going in circles again. I've gone over kind of on your end, try to work with, give you some time and check in on you in maybe a month. Would 30 days be good? And I'm really being quite honestly nice for him with how rude he's being to me and calling me names and the profanities and stuff. And in my industry, I've heard it all. So I'm on the phone with him still. But I'm still on the phone with them. So I say, sir, at this point, you have called me names, you have given me profanities, and we're not going anywhere. So I really need to end this call. And he starts saying that I'm doing false claims. He's going to talk to my manager, whatever. I said, sir, that is not true. Are we done here? And I ended up leaving the call because he was incredibly rude. Well, he ends up calling us back to speak to our company to tell them how I was going to help him and how I, etc. And she has a foreign name. I'll just say that, not saying where she's from or anything. She has a foreign name, so he makes some really rude racist name, and she laughs it off. And she's just like, I mean, in the industry we're working, again, we've heard it all before.
Yeah, you kind of probably develop a pretty thick skin.
Yeah, so she's just like, oh, okay, buddy, like she just gives him the old eye roll. She's just listening at this point to him. And he goes, oh my God, you laughed at me. You laughed at me. And that's again, you're not allowed to laugh at the customer. I know the collection, the court. And I mean, this guy, he spent his entire 8-hour day talking to us. I swear.
Oh my God.
All of the different people. And I was getting really heated because he was making false claims about me and having my call listen, like, because any call that's questionable, my managers will listen to me and tell me where it went wrong, where it went right. And we get quite a bit of leniency as far as this is my call and they trust me. But with certain people, you try things. See if you throw something out there, see how that lands, and things like that. So I felt that I handled the call pretty well and pretty professionally, but there were a few things that I had tried just to see if it landed and stuff, and I just didn't care for my heated. My other associates heated, and we're pretty close. Like I said, he spent almost all day with us talking and making false claims about everything. My boss gets on the phone. She says the next one that talks to him, just transfer, just say, please hold. Like pretend like you're an operator. I don't care. If you get this guy on the phone, just say, please hold, and then transfer it to me. And she literally just answers the phone. She goes, are you going to bully us all day long? Because if so, I don't want to hear it. And literally at this point, there's like a semicircle of us around my manager's desk, like so we're conversations that are gonna be had and everything. But no, we're professionals. We handled it well, and honestly, he was just having the case of the Mondays, I would say.
Yeah,
that's some extreme case of the Mondays right there.
Yeah, that reminded me. I had this one guy that I was calling. I called in months straight. Like he just kept popping up in our CRM, and I kept pushing it out. I called him like once a week at first, and I called him once a month, and I just kept following up with him, leaving him messages. And I was working at the Chevy dealership at the time, and I would call him, and he would send me like an email like once every couple of months, and be like, I would tell him, hey, we got that car you're looking for. It's that new Silverado, blah, blah, blah. And he'd send me back like a little – and I'd send him all these like pictures. I'd take them myself, like every angle with the car. Like I'd put in every spec, like exactly what it has. And I did this for like a year and a half. And I remember one Saturday, and this guy first met him. And then it was just this shit for like 16 months. Just leading me on. And I call him one time. It's a Saturday, and I call him, and he finally picks up the phone. Like his not email, and his name was Jason. And I remember he picks up the phone. He's like, "Hey, Lucas," and I was like, "Hey, Jason." And I was like super excited to talk to him. He's like, "Yeah, I bought a Ford." And I was
oh no!
Oh my God, because Ford was right. from us, and they were like our arch enemies because it
Oh,
was
no.
Chevy and then it was Ford. And he just picks up, he's all happy. He's like, "Yeah, I bought a Ford," and then it was just, and I was so pissed. Like I was so mad that I was like, "Oh, really? That's good for you. I'm glad you
I would have
found
gotten audibly
the."
angry, dude.
Yeah, I've had
Well,
that before.
I have better news for you in that regard. I found out that the whole reason about it is that he thought we were scammers, and that is just something that's pretty common that goes around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He thought we were legitimate scammers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and anyway, and I was like, "Sir, I wouldn't have this information on you if I was a scammer." But anyway, he thought we were scammers, but he ended up calling it, and he paid it, and he apologized to me and thanked me, and he was really embarrassed. So anyway, it did end up happening.
Yeah, a little happy ending.
Radical.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been very informative. We really appreciate you coming on here. Luke, do you want to take us out? Tell the viewers what's going on, and maybe I don't know if you have somebody lined up for next week.
I don't. I got two people that I might reach out to, but I'm not quite sure yet.
Well, and for anybody that's curious, we are going to continue trying to record every Sunday and hopefully have it up by Monday morning, so that Monday morning when you wake up, if you're still on a commute or if you're just trying to do your Monday morning groggers and you need some intellectual stimulation, we got you. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Courtney, would you like to say anything before we shut it down?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on.
For sure. You guys have a great day.
You too.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.